Hello? Hello?
Opportunity for anyone to address the village board on any issue either on or not on the current agenda. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the village board encourages input from residents, it may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. So why don't we, who do we have tonight?
First up here, I do have Mary Jo Diebold talk about or comment on Montague's Pub and Grill. And her address is 1814 Park Street.
Okay, so hopefully you can all hear me through the mask. I'll try and make it quick. So I live at 1814 Park Street, and that property abuts the volleyball court, the existing parking lot, and the future parking lot. I was at last Monday's commission meeting and spoke about the privacy fence and lights. When I left there, I was feeling like the items that I had brought up were really not discussed. So I've since spoken with a couple of commission members, and I want to ensure that my concerns are heard tonight, and then I'm open for questions that anybody has. So regarding the privacy fence that goes east to west does not go complete to the property line, and the north-south is non-existent. When Tom from Hoodie's proposed his plan with volleyball courts, these privacy fence items were discussed and agreed upon. However, he never did any of the privacy fence. The partial existing east to west fence was there prior to any meeting. He's been out of compliancy from the start. These fence additions were requested due to the additional foot and vehicle traffic with the addition of the volleyball courts and keeping private property just that private and safe. I'm a single person, and I don't necessarily feel safe in the evening to be out in my backyard by the fire pit with the amount of people that pull in. They leave their headlights on. Sometimes they sit in the car for a long time. I don't know if they're looking at me or not. I don't know what they're trying to analyze or whatever. It makes me very uneasy. If I'm out there, I go inside. Sometimes they get out, they yell something over to me. I don't know what they say necessarily. Sometimes I know them. Most of the times I don't. There even have been a few that just uninvitedly sent themselves over to have a cigarette and say, hey, you got something to drink? And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not cool. So anyways, people cut through my yard going from Park Street to the bar and vice versa any time of the day and night. And my house is pretty close to the property line there. And they're also pretty close to the windows on two sides of the house, the north and the east side. The issue of the privacy fence needs to be addressed, or at least I feel it does. And a completion plan I'd like to see be put into place. I'd like to propose a few things just to see if we can get it into, the original compliancy. So it's been, I'd like to do the outstanding fence to be completed within a timeline or a timeline manner. And none of it is dependent on the additional parking lot. I'm proposing the following timeline, which hopefully will assist the new owners and who was left with this open item. I know at one time that the privacy fence everything needed to be up, or most everything needed to be up prior to any volleyball starting. Well, all last year they played volleyball, everything else, whatever. Not that there weren't complaints, but there was a lot of issues that were going on, and it is what it is. But so the Spike Bread event, hopefully it will happen. I don't need any privacy fence being done or anything prior to that. I want to make sure that can go on. Don't want to interfere with that at all. And by the way, I believe that's somewhere in the list, and I definitely support that event, so cover that now. But I'd like to see the completion of the east-west fence to the property line, and I'd like to see the north-south fence from the south property line that heads north. And I'd like to see it be installed approximately 20 to 25 feet beyond the existing parking lot now, which then would take that up to pretty much the end of the back end of my house. And that way then, if they aren't able to complete all the way up to the Park Street right away, at least I have an opportunity to close that part off temporarily. And I'd like to see that hopefully done before the end of 2020. As I said, it's gone on a long time. The remainder of the north-south fence to Park Street, I don't want that compliant, or not compliant, I don't want that contingent on when the additional parking lot gets put in. I'd like to see that actually completed like within the first 6 months of 2021. Hopefully by that time, the Montagues will have had enough time to be able to work that in. So I'm asking for the timeline due to the past history, the privacy, and like I said, it's been well over a year. So that's it for the fence. We'll go into the lights real quick. So basically, I want to just make sure that the lights are updated, the volleyball lights. I just want to make sure they're updated according to the ordinance, and hopefully that's going to resolve all the lighting that goes into my house. And I don't know if anybody knows anything about that, but anyways, I'll move on to the outdoor acoustic events to move it to 10 o'clock. I have zero issues with this. As a matter of fact, I have no issue if they even want amplified with the number of events per year. After all, we live in a village, in a valley, and we can hear all other bars and events with permit music through the course of the event. And so why not Montague's Pub and Grill? And then I'd be willing to bet that they'd even post on Facebook when it's going to happen. And the indoor amplified moving from midnight to 2 a.m. Again, I support that. All other establishments in town are allowed to do it. I was outside when they did a little test on it last night, and I didn't hear a thing. I think a lot of that noise complaint stemmed from when Hootie's air conditioning was broken and they had the windows open all night long, and none of that was put into consideration when they were playing the jukebox. I'd like to see more growth in our village, and if we continue to be naysayers, we don't have a chance to grow. So please consider, these, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
So we had two. Oh, first of all, we want to see if there's any comments. I did not receive any sheets from the rest of the participants there. Okay.
I mean, regarding like the fence or anything?
No, I think we'll, at the discussion, if we have questions, I think
Okay.
we will be able to direct them to you.
And then I did have two that joined us shortly before the meeting started on the Zoom here and did not get a chance to pre-register. Deb Cutler, did you want to speak during public comments? I'll unmute you now.
No, thank you. I'm just here to learn.
And Kevin Murphy, did you have any comments?
He's the reporter, I believe.
Okay, I believe that is it.
Okay, we're going to go to report of village officers, village president. Just a couple updates. I checked the census website last week. We're at 79%, which is good compared to state and national, but that still means there's 700 to 800 residents that have not done it. So again, in all your feelings and stuff, if you can just remind people to do the census, that's very important. We had a short discussion when we were talking about chapter 2 on reconsideration of motion. I looked up that with Robert's Rules of Order. Clearly, it can be done on the night of the meeting. And in Robert's Rules, it can be done anytime after that with they say it doesn't have to be noticed, but state law requires it, so it would have to be noticed. But there's a caveat with that, that all members that voted yes have to be present at the meeting it's brought up from reconsideration. And then the last item, I've asked village staff, as they're putting their budgets together for capital, I asked them to focus on, when you read our SIP, the mandatory and high priority items. And for the operating, I have requested that they come in with a 1% over the expense side. I use 4 factors coming up with that. That would be the financial burden that the village has already put on residents, which was the water increase, the inflation rate for the last 3-4 years, new construction rate. And then of course, the last one is just overall health of the economy and outside of Cross Plains. So obviously the big one there is COVID-19, how that affects. So I've asked that'll only be our starting point when we start, but hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier and clearer when we have that discussion. That is it. Vice President.
I don't have a whole lot. St. Francis is arrested. And hopefully at the moment, they grab it so well.
I'll go back. One other thing, Bill brought some suggestions in, a suggestion that on these reports that we, I know ahead of time, a lot of times what I'm going to report, the list as the one that goes on. So he suggested that we put what the topic is so people have an interest in just doing that.
So if you have something that you had, like Sarah, if you're going to update us on Parks and Rec, you would let Bill know that, and he would put, your name update on Parks and Rec, just so there's a little bit more information out there. I thought that was a good suggestion, so we'll start doing that at the next meeting, knowing that not everything that's listed will be talked about because some things happen short term. All right, any other trustee would have a report? All right, village administrator, clerk.
Yeah, just a few things here. I just want to remind everyone that if you could please hit the button on your microphone before you speak. We're getting some messaging here saying that it's hard to hear you. So please do that once if you're going to speak. Second, just an update on Scenic Valley subdivision development. They have submitted their letter of credit and therefore have met their obligations to start construction. This morning they started on erosion control, and this week they will be groundbreaking. So if you see action over there, know that that's what's going on. And then lastly here, we did send our request to relocate the polling place from the fire station to the library, to the public library in this room. That was granted, and so this is our official polling place now. I'm working with Public Works or Public Facilities and the library to make sure that we have the room set up adequately for elections coming August and in November. That is it for me.
All right, are there any other staff reports? Any other staff out there?
We do not have any other staff.
All right, we will go to general business. Number 1, discussion and possible action regarding the general development plan of 1821 Main Street. What I'd like to do, since there's a lot of pieces to this, I would like to kind of have the discussion prior to the motion so we're not making numerous motions and then people aren't remembering what exactly was decided. So I think there's you had the recommendations from the Plan Commission, and then the owners have requested some modification to that. So what I'd like to do is just go through and make sure everybody is comfortable. It seems like, I guess my first question, outside the changes from the Plan Commission, were people okay with the other one? So we're talking fencing and acoustic events outside, and amplification time inside. Those were the three changes, or not necessary changes, but additions, changes/additions.
Fencing's in the SIP.
Okay, Michael,
I was just saying fencing's in the SIP, not in the general development plan.
I think the timing is different. I think the request is different in the timing. But we'll just clarify, but that's my understanding is, I think from the plan commission, the timing was set on when the parking lot gets developed, the new one, then the fence would be built. I think there's a request to get the fence at least partially up, covering the current parking lot into the corner of the house prior to even that parking lot being done. So I think there's a modification there.
Yeah, but I don't think that's in the general development plan. I think that'd be in the specific implementation. That's the second section. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Did you guys,
It's just a,
did the board want to speak on or discuss on 1 and 2 at the same time?
Yeah, why don't, I think, is everybody comfortable with that?
that's just what I was
I
saying.
get-
They're two separate.
It's tough to keep what is what when they're related. So is everybody comfortable with doing 1 and 2 together? All right.
Okay.
All right. So I guess let's start with the outdoor acoustic events. It's right now 10 events to 10 o'clock at night. And the acoustics, when we talked about that, that would be where no amplification is used. For example, if members of the UW band come down, and play, if there's a person playing a guitar and singing,
So can I give a little background?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So this is Bill. And the change here, so at the plan commission, it was motioned and recommended to allow for 10 outdoor acoustic music events per year as proposed. And so when you go to the proposal, they had acoustic music from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. Friday to Sunday only. And so that was what was recommended, discussed and recommended. At this point, the Montagues have requested that be extended from 9 o'clock to 10 p.m. and then that the days allowed also include holidays. That being said, if it were any other property without these restrictions, the controlling ordinance on acoustic music or musical instruments would be the village's noise ordinance, which under 22.13 of the code does allow that up until 10 o'clock, and then that the decibel levels have to be less than 100 decibels on a weighted scale measured at 0.50 feet from the property line. For example, 100 decibels, that's pretty much a motorcycle or a lawnmower. So what is being proposed here with the restrictions on the days and the hours are more restrictive than what the code ordinarily allows. I just wanted to make that clear. We did have a lot of questions in regards to the outdoor acoustic music, and I did receive some emails about concern of extending these type of events to that late. But she wanted to remain anonymous. So that's that.
Okay, Sarah?
Can you give history as to why this property has different limitations than other properties?
So I believe in the original GDP or the general development plan, the plan commission and village board approved it without allowing any kind of outdoor event, I want to say. Look for those minutes. Oh yeah, any outdoor amplified sound, which is not necessarily the acoustic sound. The reason why this property may be a special condition here is basically dependent on the plan commission and village board. So if you take a step back here in regards to a general development plan, it's pretty much an agreement between the village and the property owner to give flexibilities and then also be more restrictive dependent on what you hear at public hearings or what you hear in comments. And so one of the items that we did here was in regards to outdoor special events.
And this is one of the cons for having these GDPs. Michael?
So my question is, in terms of this being more restrictive of the sound ordinance, is it just because it's being limited Friday through Sunday and holidays and 10 events per year? Otherwise, if those weren't in place, then it would just be the regular sound ordinance?
That's correct.
So, and those were just put in place because of what was discussed at plan. I don't see any reason for any of these restrictions. It's just the regular sound ordinance, just let it function like a regular property. I don't think any other property functions under these restrictions in the village. I'd be fine removing them all. You also said that it'd be difficult to count the 10 events per year, Bill. That would be a difficult enforcement issue.
Yeah, so I believe the reason that the 10 events a year came up is because a property under the GDP model has that kind of setup. And I understand that the plan commission wanted to limit the type of events, special events, just because, well, my understanding is because it's in a residential neighborhood primarily. And so I believe that's where it came from. I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Well, but this is the only place that has like a 10 event limit though, acoustic, right? Or does,
I believe,
I think,
go ahead.
I think coaches, we've limited them, but they can have louder, so you're right, because they can actually have amplifiers.
well, I was wondering because under the
But I do
amplification,
remember a coach
Well, let's,
limited them.
okay, I need you guys to raise your hands so we direct who it is so people know who's speaking. So I guess Michael, go ahead.
right, I was kind of curious about that because I read the sound ordinance pieces of it and it looks like that amplified sound, it's only limited to 3 times per year. So coaches must have something on theirs that allows amplified sound more than 3 times a year, because I wondered about that when I read that.
So that would
So
be,
that one was less restrictive.
so that would be the flexibility in our plan.
Right.
Okay, Bill?
So in my opinion, if this is what the Montads are asking for, is for having 10 events going till 10 o'clock PM, acoustic only, I'm very, very happy with that. I don't have any problem with that at all.
All right, Lauren?
I guess I'm wondering, like, if someone were to call them and they've met their 10 events, they would have to turn down a way to make money because they've reached that. To me, that just doesn't sound fair.
Yeah,
That we're
according,
limiting them to work their business to the full potential.
I guess I can respond to some of that. I think some of the concern is not that it would happen, but without some type of limitation, they could have music every night. And I guess as being in a residential neighborhood would, until 10 o'clock, would that seem reasonable to members of the board if there was a business that had outdoor music every night in a residential neighborhood? So I think that was part of the discussion on some limitations. I think while I agree, it is limited, but it is a business inside a residential neighborhood. I personally can go either way. I just want to make sure that I represent what the Plan Commission was talking about on that. Okay, Michael?
I don't know. We haven't asked the Montagues yet, but if we're thinking about limiting the number of events per year, we can remove the restrictions on the days because they don't know if acoustic night is going to be Wednesday or Thursday or what day. Why limit it to Friday through Sunday and the holidays? It allows more flexibility, but still, if we want to limit the number of events, it's just allows any day, but you know.
Well, they're here. Why don't we get their input on this topic here that they've heard the discussion, so what are your feelings?
Hi, I'm Candace. So in regards to, I guess what I'm going to say will probably then like spiel into the other topics. We're just trying to start a business, maintain a business, and thrive like any other businesses on Main Street and Cross Plains. So the whole idea that acoustic music should end at 9 o'clock is why, when there's a noise ordinance, until 10. So that's why we just were like, well, let's just go that extra hour because we feel like that should be something that we could discuss and possibly agree upon. We are neighborly, approachable people. We've spoken with both of our neighbors, or two of our neighbors at 1821. And just to kind of give like a heads up and to kind of see where everyone is coming from. The 10 p.m., the 9 to 10, and even moving forward, I don't know if we can kind of jump around, but then I'll come back up and stand up again. But like from midnight to 2, those hours are really detrimental. You know, we're just trying to succeed. We have a staff of 10 to 14. You know, no one goes into a business to not thrive. So that's where we're coming from with the 9 to 10, once you get there, the midnight to 2. So we just would like a chance to kind of offer something else.
I think the 10 o'clock is fine. What's your feeling on the number of events?
Yeah, or
The number of events, maybe.
I think if we're at 10 in the event that we do have some more fundraisers that present themselves, if we're given the opportunity to ask for a waiver, then maybe if we do hit that where we're keeping track and it's set to where we can come down and say, hey, we've got a fundraiser for whoever, and we like an exception to policy in this additional one. I agree with the, not knowing what days that could happen on, just removing the Friday through Sunday and the holidays only to be, if somebody wanted to have a fundraiser on a Wednesday night or Tuesday night or for that exception, and then still be done by 10 o'clock.
And we're still talking like outdoor acoustic. This isn't amplified. This isn't extending past the outdoor noise ordinance. So I think about like when we ask for like the exception for holidays, like on normal years, we have Memorial Day. Like it's a big event and holiday for Cross Plains. We'd want to be included in that. It falls on a Monday, 4th of July. So just we want to be included and not made the exception.
Okay, I have Michael, then Lori.
Oh, I was just talking to myself.
Well, no, I saw your hand go up.
Well, I was
okay.
counting the number of months, like that it's summertime, it's like 6. So it's like if it's 2, like, April, May, June, July, August, September, that'd be 12 if they did it every other week. Was trying to compute a number of events they might.
Lauren?
It sounds like, if I was wanting to start a business, I would want every opportunity to, if somebody came in, let's say 1 week, there's 2 or 3 events a week, I feel like they should be able to have that opportunity to succeed. And I feel like by us saying, oh no, you can't go over that, why? Why should they be limited to succeed? And I feel like, I don't know.
I just want to make sure, I don't think anybody wants to limit their success.
Well, no,
the idea is to try to come with.
How do you pick and choose what events?
No, I hear you on that. I just wanted to clarify, so.
But to me, that sounds like what we're doing, is saying, oh, no, you can only have this many.
All right, Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin Thuzies here. I'm sorry, Candy, can you stand up, please?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So I could, this request came from them, this writing, correct? Like, this was written from them to us?
Yes,
So did you write this in hopes like it would pass, like this is, or, you know, like you went through this because you're sort of self-restricting on some of these things? And so I'm with Bill too. I'm like, well, they asked for this. It's pretty easy to say, yeah, go ahead. This is fine.
Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm gonna be honest, it's our first go around.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm asking, right?
You
just
know,
wrote it- you made an attempt, you tried to like, you know, try to. come up with some
Absolutely, we made an
ideas of it.
attempt to just, okay, so this is what we see. Well, okay, fine. Can we go to 10?
Yeah, okay.
To 10 p.m. I mean, like, right, we're just trying to, like I said, we are inexperienced, if I can be honest, and, you know, a little vulnerable. First go around, right?
So,
And we were just trying to be, neighborly is not the word, but accommodating as long as it made sense.
Great.
As long as it makes sense, because the biggest picture is just trying to run a business, right?
Okay.
So,
thank you.
all right, can I
Yeah.
just sum up then? I think, so we don't spend, I think most people agree the 10 o'clock, 9 to 10 o'clock. So
Okay.
I don't see anybody objecting. That fits right in, it makes sense. That was an error in the plan commission, not catching that. All right, let me finish, Michael.
Well, but it's not 9, it's
Okay.
noon to 10.
What's that?
You said 9 to 10, right?
Well, no, I'm changing
Oh.
from 9
Oh.
PM to 10. That's
Okay.
the
I
request.
think so.
All right, and I think everybody, if I'm hearing, is okay with removing the restriction on day of week and adding holidays. I'm just trying to read everybody. Okay, maybe not, I see.
I don't think we should have any restrictions on the day of the week, like.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Tuesday, Saturday.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm asking, is everybody in agreement of removing the day restriction?
Any day, yeah.
Yeah, okay, because right now there are restrictions, so we'd be removing that. So then where I'm not real clear is on the topic of limiting the number of events. So I want to kind of stay focused on this. Now, Candace, you guys didn't address. What is your feeling on this? On just that topic?
The number 10 was given at the planning
Correct.
commission on a number.
Right.
So again, we don't know if that's a good number. I mean, again, we're just starting. Is that feasible number? Is that too high, too low? Is it in the middle? We just don't know yet as of right now. I mean, like, so if there is a number on event, if there is an option of at least letting us come back and say that's a little bit low, can we ask for an exception during those months? And if we turn into a very successful and popular place and people want to have events, we want to be able to accommodate that.
Okay, very good. Bill, and then Kevin, and then Sarah. I mean, yeah.
So as much as I like you guys, I don't want you having to come to these meetings all the time. It doesn't help you out at all. So I think, in my opinion, what I would like to see is, and the reason I said 10 before is because that's what was in the request, right? Having 100 decibels at 50 feet on the A scale, I actually do know what that means, is not very loud at all, and up till 10 o'clock is not going to be, even in the middle of the village where you guys are sitting, it's not going to be offensive to anyone. Even on a school night, I don't see that being a problem. So I would be fine with just getting rid of a number and just having it at 10 o'clock with the noise abatement.
Okay, I have Kevin and Sarah.
Sarah.
Oh, okay.
Bill said what I was gonna say. No limit, like start with, you always do that to me.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Always just start with no limit, and then if it's broken, then we fix it. But,
Right.
Okay.
So,
okay, Michael.
So then if we're removing days number and turning it into 10 o'clock, doesn't that just turn into the noise ordinance?
But here's,
It just does.
let me just,
I think it
I
just
see
does.
Judy. Okay, here's the thing. The problem with this process that we do, we have a plan development, okay? If we were into zoning code and permits and licenses, you would be right. I think we have to state this because we're changing the planning development agreement. Now, we can say fits into the ordinance, But right now, there's restrictions in it, right, from the previous plan. That stays with the property. Okay, so we have to take some action. We can't just say it's over. So now hang on. So Michael, then Judy.
Right, okay, so you say we have to take, right, I understand what you're saying. We have to take some action, but I'm saying that basically where we are agreeing to is we just motion that we just let it fall under the sound ordinance and then
We can make when we make our motion, part of it'll be to drop those
I got you.
items. We can do that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Judy.
I think you just hit it, because I'm just thinking the acoustics is great, but if a band shows up like Trackside that I think that plays at Coaches, they do use amplifiers, but they know their noise level. And I would be okay even leaving that, taking the acoustics, so as long as they find in those.
Okay, I have, Bill wants to speak.
I can just make a comment on amplified sound. So we do have an amplified sound permit application process, and they are limited to 3 amplified sound permits a year. So there is a process.
Yeah, we do not, I think we don't want to go down that route. That's going to change everything,
So
I
if they
think.
do decide to do it, they have to come back to us for one of those 3?
They have to get a permit just like everybody else does, yeah.
No, but they don't come here, they just, sorry, Jay, they just apply to Bill.
It's
I think,
administrative,
if he
yeah.
grants a permit.
I don't remember Coaches ever doing it, so.
So coaches is a flexibility. So the amount allowed for coaches, when it was previously talked about in their plan development, so then they would not have to come in and get a permit.
All right, so we're good on that part. All right, let's next go to the fencing. And Bill, can you put up the map,
Yes, I can.
please? Can you get it where we can see there we go.
Going there.
So what Mary Jo was talking about, if you look at basically the diagram up there of the new parking lot, if you go to the second stall, and it would be, the fence would go up to that point. So the corner of her house, it'd go right to the corner of her house is what she's asking for. Yes, thank you. And what she's asking, as you can see right now, that fence doesn't have to be put up until they've developed the second parking lot, or the additional parking lot. So I kind of agree. I do think, and I'm surprised it wasn't, that you do have, I think, an issue with people parking in their headlights going into someone else's property, that I think for sure the parking lot should be enclosed, and it's about 20 feet to get to that corner of that house. And what Mary Jo is, people park on Park Street, and then they cut through next to her house because there's no fence there, and they come into the volleyball net. So by moving that up, it would force people away from her house, that she would have the option of actually closing off her backyard to that side so people couldn't actually cut through. I personally think that's a reasonable request. I'd like to know from the owners what your thoughts on that are.
We think that's reasonable.
Okay.
We would maybe like to discuss the timeline. But we absolutely think that that is reasonable.
Okay.
We know that the east to west
Would be
would
priority.
be first.
Yeah, and that's just a little site, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, we're absolutely 100% okay with that. And when I say discussing the timeline, we just don't know, but we want to make sure that Mary Jo, oh yeah, I mean, you know, but like that Mary Jo knows that we would get that done. But I understand, of course, that there has to be a timeline and expiration date. But we have no problems with that.
All right. Board members, anybody have questions or comments they'd like to make on this topic?
Um,
Lori?
I think maybe like, what timeline are you thinking? Are you thinking like a year from now? Are you thinking, I mean, I think Mary Jo deserves to have like some kind of
Absolutely.
date.
Absolutely.
And I think, otherwise we're gonna be coming back and forth, and I think that way you can prepare for it, and then Mary Jo also knows it.
I would.
Okay, Michael?
Bill, can I ask you a question? When this is adopted, do they have a certain timeline to complete the items that are suggested in it? Like,
Yeah,
if this
so
is adopted, how long do they have to do these
So
things?
technically, to be in compliance, once the minute it's adopted, that's the zoning code for that.
Once the minute it's adopted, that's the
Correct.
zoning code. So
Correct.
then, like the next day, they have to be in
Yeah,
compliance?
so if they're not in compliance, they cannot operate without bringing themselves into compliance.
So then when does it become the zoning code?
It's effective.
But we can put in a timeline.
You can put in a timeline.
Just like a
But
zoning.
like it would become the zoning code the night after we vote on it? Okay, so then you could put in a timeline. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Hey, Kevin, did I see your hand up?
No.
Okay.
Well, but I have one, after that last comment, I do have one
Go ahead.
thing. Michael, isn't the fence on the SIP?
Say again?
Is the fence in the specific implementation plan?
I think it is.
So it's not in the zoning, the fence itself is not in the general development plan though, correct?
No.
Does it make a difference as far as that goes, Bill, as far as one of them has to be?
Yeah, like, cause
now and the SIP can be delayed, or doesn't it matter?
I think we'd be smart to put in a date that it needs to be done, so it's a record. I'm with you, Kevin. I get confused on which one goes into which one.
Yeah, so if you're just thinking about it, if you just think about it this way, so the general development plan talks about how you use the property.
Yeah.
The specific implementation plan is all the detail, the aesthetics, the dimensions.
And both of those are considered part of the zoning?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I needed to know.
Okay, yeah.
Anybody else? I guess I would ask, what do you guys think is, I mean, we got both parties here. I don't,
I'm having a landscaper come out, and so I guess would it be cost estimate of how much that fence would be to put up? That would, I mean, give us a general idea if it's 20,000, whatever price tag that is, to where we can, how long I think it's gonna take us to get there. Again, as a new business, we don't have a known income yet of profit. So I mean, to say 6 months and we're just, repairing stuff as we're going along with equipment that we're running into now, like, yes, we want to do it. I don't want to say 6 months and I can't do it by then, just for the fact that I just don't have the cash to do it.
okay, Judy?
Well, I just feel bad, because like with COVID, who knows in 6 months how much it'll be open. I'm sorry to say that, but we just don't know. That's why I think that's kind of an unknown.
Yeah.
Also, as far as your business goes.
So I would defer to say, let me get a couple quotes to see what the price is. I do have obviously in my business plan how much I think I'm making, but obviously with COVID still going on, what my options are to increase my revenue, and how we can do that.
Because right now it's a year, right? Like you're proposed,
Well, 6
like
months.
6 months into 2021, right?
For the full completion.
For the full completion, right, yes, no, that's what I meant. That's what I meant, Mary Jo. For the full completion, yes.
I would suggest,
Go ahead, Kevin.
I would just suggest by next outdoor season, so May 1st of next year, the southern half of that is put in. As soon as the parking lot is constructed, the rest of it's put in. That would be my proposal.
Okay, I think we can, I think the east-west one should be done immediately.
No, the two halves of the north-south one.
Okay. Okay, Mary Jo.
Oh, and the east, yeah, and immediately in the eastern.
Okay, this has gone on for, in my opinion, way too long. So if I can see to a timeline to next year, then I want the whole thing going in, all the way up. Because that's just crazy otherwise.
When you say all the way up, is that to Park Street you're talking?
Yes. Yes, because there's people that cut through that all the time So like the corner of my house there, next to the parking lot, those are bedrooms there. People are walking like through the front yard by those there the whole time. If I have a fence up there, nobody's cutting through.
Okay, Michael,
This is a different generalized question now. So if I can. So the question was that if we approve this and it becomes a zoning code and it's not there, are you guys wanting to, because if we approve this, it says future parking lot. Do you guys really want to put this parking lot?
At this point, no, we don't, but for the simple fact that the cost estimate that we got from Tom and what he got was, it doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money to that large of get it and the work that would have to be put into it, so.
okay, and I think, Michael, we're getting off topic. We're not talking about the parking lot. That's in here just so in the future, if they wanted to do it, they didn't have to come back to get permission to do it. We're not gonna put a timeline on that. I think we're only putting a timeline on the fences because we have a neighbor that would like it sooner than later. And I understand the business needs to, they probably didn't put that in as one of their costs of opening up. So there's a money. Michael.
So what I'm saying though, is it sounds like that they're going to be asking us to completely remove the parking lot from this entire document.
Why would they do that?
I think that that's what he just said.
No.
Are you or not?
Well, we don't want the parking lot.
That was an idea of Tom. That wasn't an idea of
Okay,
theirs.
but can I just, Michael, let me just, by putting it in here, it leaves you that option. If you remove it, then you would have to come back here if you ever changed your mind. There's no time limit on turning that in, so it can be in your plan, but if it's never done, there's nothing going. So
Right,
there's,
then there's no like cost or fine or anything
no,
of that.
no.
Okay.
What you're saying is in the future, you might want to turn this into a parking lot. You already have permission to do that. The only reason we're putting a timeline on the fence is because of the
Absolutely.
negative impact that it's having on a neighbor.
Understood.
So I'm wondering if there's, I really hate to say this, but I'm wondering if there's a compromise, if there could be some type of temporary fencing there to stop, at least now, you know, I really don't like snow fence, but if you put a snow fence across there, that might stop the people from cutting it. It's not exactly what you want, Mary Jo, but it would stop some of that. It doesn't stop the light part of it, but I don't know if we're into some other violation of fencing ordinance or something. But I'm just wondering if we can, if there's a compromise here, because I clearly see one would like it done tomorrow, the rest, I just don't know yet when we can do it. So I'm not sure what the group is feeling on this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do Bill and then Michael.
Mary Jo, just a couple questions for you. So extending that fence all the way north as a privacy fence, correct? So we're not talking about chain link fence or?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, Michael.
What was I gonna say? Well, I was gonna say, they've agreed to build a fence up to the back half of Mary Jo's house. This whole fence was gonna be constructed when the parking lot was put in, which sounds like, if we're gonna speak about it, we're gonna leave that up indefinitely inside of this unless they choose to ask us to remove it. This fence was part of that parking lot. So then the extending of the fence all the way up to close to the end of Park Street, does that become the responsibility of the bar? Or does that become a responsibility of the homeowner trying to keep people from cutting through? Is my fundamental question.
All right, here this is my opinion. I think for sure the privacy fence should have been put up for the parking lot. And I thought during the discussion that came up that there should have been a privacy fence. I don't think it's fair for people's headlights to shine into someone's backyard. So I think the privacy fence should have been that whole parking lot. So now what we're talking about is moving it from the edge of the parking lot to the corner of her house. I figure that's 20 to 25 feet. Okay, so, you know, going all the way up, I never thought of going all the way up. I'm trying to stop people from going into her backyard and reducing the light pollution that's going in there. And yeah, I would be a little nervous too, having a campfire and having strangers come up and want to sit down along the fire and have a beer with me or something. You know, so I think there's legitimate, have nothing to do with the future expansion of the parking lot. It's what the situation is currently. Okay, Michael.
Right, and I agree with that. They've agreed to that other fencing. The other fencing continuing from where it is to Park Street should only be contingent upon the addition of the parking lot.
Okay. So, but again, I guess we go. I'm going to have Mary Jo.
Okay, so I would be agreeable at this point to literally go to the corner of the house, the bottom corner of the house, the back corner, with that fence. I will be agreeable to go to spring of next year to have that done. And then from there, let's see how the traffic is, and then the Montags and I can determine if we want to find a way to put a temporary fence from there to Park Street.
Okay, and does that sound, I mean, I think that, is the board comfortable? Just some head shakes on that. So we're looking at maybe, are we looking like May 1st? Is that what we're thinking? Okay, Sarah?
Just to, if the board's comfortable question, I'm just wondering, my concern is whatever is decided by the board, for some reason in 2019, nothing was enforced. So what is the barrier to enforcement so that whatever is decided happens?
So this is Bill, and that's something that I am worried about. You know, if you leave it up in good conscience to the neighbors to decide a property line, you know, we could very well end up back in this position again. And so I get it. I think it's a good compromise. I just want to let the village board know that potentially that could be an end result. So
I guess I'm willing, me personally, willing to take that risk. I think it's a good compromise, and I appreciate the parties involved working through it. Bill?
Yeah, I am all in favor of less government intervention and letting you guys figure that out on your own as neighbors. And, you know, sounds like you guys want to be good neighbors, and it sounds like you want to be a good neighbor. So I'm perfectly happy with that solution. I would just say if we're going to put a date in, let's, you know, have it by trout days of that first part of the fence, have it by trout days of next year, which is about that May.
It's exactly May.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, is everybody, are we kind of comfortable, everybody, with that one? So then the last one, and I don't think this is moving the indoor amplification to 2 a.m. This says 2 p.m., but it really should say 2 a.m. That's what the request is. It's currently went through plan to midnight, but moving it to 2 a.m. Any comments? Bill?
So there's several other restaurant bar facilities in the village. What is their restriction right now?
for indoor?
For indoor.
The only restriction is in regards, is the noise ordinance. So it is 100 decibels on the weighted scale measured at 50 feet from the property line.
So so regardless if it's outdoor acoustic, which we already talked about, or indoor amplified.
No matter what type of sound it is.
Okay, and is there a time restriction on the other places of business within the village?
Not unless they have something specified in a plan development agreement.
Okay.
Or a conditional use permit.
I mean, because I am concerned about the other residents in the area, you know, being in the middle. But if that can be accommodated, then I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, Michael.
If we're going to talk about the no indoor sound until 2 AM, then why don't we just completely remove this entire limitation as the bar time is 2 AM or 2:30 on Friday, Saturday, and you're really talking about nothing, because I highly doubt after that time they're gonna be having a lot of amplified indoor sound. It becomes a point with no teeth in it, essentially. I think it should be struck. It simplifies the code.
All right, well, we got a neighbor here, Kim.
As a person who lives next to that pointless amplified sound, it's not, and the main purpose when I brought it up at the meeting before was not that everything should be dead silent at midnight. I was just, and we talked about, when, previously when Tom owned it, and they had karaoke and stuff like that, I always wondered, why does that start at 10 o'clock when the noise ordinance goes into effect, and then goes to bar time? Why can't we start it at 7 and then we all said and go to midnight? That's what that's about. It's not to say that, I want dead silence at midnight. So we've talked about it. I understand why they need it or want it to be at 2, and I'm okay with that. But it's the amplified sound is just, it is really loud for the neighbors and stuff. So it is a big deal. But I mean, we've also worked on things that they're gonna do to take down the bass, because that's the biggest thing, is that boom, boom. So I'm good. I'm good with the changes. We've gotten together and we've talked about it, but I mean, I don't think so much that, well, what do the other bars do? What they're doing is good. Why can't we look at the other bars and say, we might want to do what they're doing, instead of just saying, oh, well, nobody else is doing that. You know what I mean?
Okay, thank you, Kim. Michael?
So, and I understand that. I think that they're going to be very good neighbors. I think Tom used to push the boundaries of his sound limit. I know I used to stay at the lanes until midnight when he had karaoke, because it was incredibly loud in that bar at that time. So I know what you're talking about. And I think that they're going to be more neighborly. It sounds like you have a good relationship. And that's why I just think that it's just an esoteric time. If it says no amplified sound, that means that they are open at 2:15 and they still have their jukebox on, and bar time is 2:30, and the police officer walks in, he can cite them, meaning that they could fall into a violation just because of that. That's why I think that that's just an esoteric restriction that doesn't need to be in place. The difference between 2 AM and 2:30, most of the time they turn it off. It's just, I find it.
Bill?
I just want to make something clear here. In regards to the noise ordinance, the 10 PM restriction is only for certain sounds produced from radio, phonographs, or similar devices on the exterior. And then it applies also to the outdoor amplified sound between the hours of 10 and midnight on Friday to Saturday night. So I wanted just to make that clear, that there is no, if you read the code under 2213A and the noise ordinance, it speaks to the number of decibels at the property line, and it does not have a time limit on there.
All right, so Michael is suggesting that we remove number 4 totally. People's feelings on that? All right, well, unless there's something I have missed, I believe unless someone here has an item that the Plan Commission passed that you would like to discuss, now's the time. I take it there's, okay, is there anything else you people want to bring from the Plan Commission up? I think.
Oh, can I
Yeah, come on up.
Just for number is that 3 where it says allow for volleyball and beanbag toss games?
Correct.
Can it just be volleyball and games? Does it have to limit us to beanbag toss? Does it have to be that specific?
What if they're full of rice and not?
Right, so could it just be games?
Yeah, I'm, Yeah.
Or volleyball and games, but yeah, I think that's all. I mean, we've spoken with, did you have something else? Oh, we've, like Kim said, we've spoken and we feel confident and we're very sincere when, moving forward with a positive neighborly relationship. We have that with Mary Jo. So I appreciate your time. So yeah, I think, are we good?
we're good. All right. Okay, I have Michael and then Bill.
Okay, I do have a few questions on here because it's confusing. It's because it says allow for volleyball and beanbags from 11 to dusk, not to exceed 9:30, Saturday and Sunday. Are we limiting these games to Saturday and Sunday? Volleyball generally runs all week long. That Saturday and Sunday should be removed, I believe.
That, I believe, is what they proposed, so is that something?
I think it was Sunday through Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh.
In the reading,
It was Sunday through Saturday, and
Okay,
I think
good
you and
enough.
I discussed.
It's just there's discrepancies where this letter doesn't line up with that stuff.
And I
One
think-
place it says Sunday to Saturday, which means giving you the flexibility of the entire.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
He was giving us the flexibility, or he was giving himself the flexibility
Gotcha.
of having, okay.
I just wanted to
Sunday
make
through
sure
Saturday,
because that
every day.
was.
It just, they can pick just like the music. Yes, Michael.
I also wanted to question the volleyball going until 9:30. You have the acoustic music going until 10. Having the volleyball not to go past 9:30. Many leagues I've played in do a 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10. Stopping at 9:30 would inhibit structuring a league like that. They've said that they've never ran a bar before. I'm just informing them that timing on the shutdown for volleyball might not be, and I don't know if you want to ask for an adjustment to that or.
Yes. We'll go to 10. Obviously, we'll see how that goes and if we ever get to a league.
So you would, so you guys are proposing changing that to 10 o'clock?
Just 10 o'clock.
Okay, Bill?
So I just want to be clear with you guys, the removal of the south volleyball court, that's what you guys want to do, correct?
Because we've been informed that it's out of compliance. And so to help with that and how everything was set up then, doesn't make sense if we want to add a stage, because now the volleyball court is right next to the stage and how everything did get developed. It wasn't to scale. So removing that makes sense to us and just having the one court. That way when we do put in the stage, they can face the yard and not have to turn around to face the patio. It just makes more sense.
Okay.
With the exception of spike right if that happens.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
I had a question about moving the volleyball time to 10. If, like you had in your letter, everything stops at 10. I mean, from experience, living next to volleyball this past year, everybody lingers afterwards outside. So is 9:30 really that unreasonable? I mean, we have one court. It's not like it's at the industrial park in Middleton where there's 5 different teams playing. I mean, I'm just saying, it's a question.
So,
But it doesn't evaporate at 10.
Well,
all right, okay, Michael and then Sarah.
well, sure, they're allowed to enjoy their side yard and top. They're just not allowed to play volleyball or beanbags.
Have it next to your house.
All right, we've heard, I have Sarah.
I just think we should go till 10, and if it doesn't go well, then we come back, but, I mean, these are different owners. they're setting up a different business, let's follow the village ordinance until there's a need to change it.
Well, I'm okay with whatever says. I just want to make sure when you bring it up to the limit, you don't have a lot of spare, because at 10 o'clock, if there is a lot of noise, then you're right, the noise ordinance plays into it, and then you have violations. I think a lot of people have that push, just like at bar time, they try to get you out before actual bar time because there's always that time period. So I just want to make sure that the downside of not giving yourself some push there is 10 o'clock is 10 o'clock. And if you got volleyball and it's not quite over at 10 o'clock and people keep playing, you know, you have violations. I think, you know, I just think that's something people should think about, is having that push time period, because you're taking it right up to the limit. But like I say, as long as you do good enforcement and turn off the light and that's it at 10 o'clock, but I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. I think that's why the 9:30 was in there. All right, Lori.
I guess, what are your feelings on?
The extra 30 minutes would be our push time, because again, we haven't played, I've played in a league in years, but you know, if a game does go over, you know, and it's 9:31, you know, that way if we just extend it to the noise where we schedule the games to end at 9:30 or even 9:40, but you know, there's that little buffer, as you just said, to where, hey, if a game does go just slightly over, you know, hey, it's 10 o'clock, and we got to stop right now, and the game's almost over, compared to, you know, you've got a little bit of cushion.
And I also want to add that, like, our hours are also changing. So ideally, while this, I guess it's supposed to say Sunday through Saturday, our kitchen closes at 9:30 every day. The restaurant will close at 10 o'clock 4 days a week. So I think that the 9:30, like our 9:30, that's like, again, first go around, that's when we would expect our last game to end. So then it does give us that little bit of cushion. It wouldn't be a 9 to 10 o'clock
Right.
game.
I mean, I'm not questioning you.
I know, no, I know, but I kind of just wanted to say that, so that for that 9:30 for us is a good like stopping point, and then that 10 o'clock is our little cushion to get everyone inside.
All right.
Or go home.
So is everybody kind of comfortable? Michael?
Well, this is just a question, because we're amending these issues, right? Like the ones that were already approved. Is that correct, Bill?
Well, right now we're just in the discussion, because the next step will be someone to make a motion that'll include everything we discussed.
Right.
And then we'll vote on it.
I have the same question, Dave, so.
Yes.
Because my question is, like, here on the meeting from March of 2019, it talks about a chain link fence. This chain link fence has been removed, but have we talked about, I mean, it still says it here on this piece of paper. That's why I'm just curious about.
I don't think it was removed. It was never put up. I think
right,
it was supposed to be put up, and then we waived. No, you need, because of the plan, all we're doing is amending the plan. We don't want to rebuild a whole new one.
Where is the rest of that plan?
Well, so we're starting from ground zero?
No, we're amending the plan that was previously.
And that previous plan had the chain link fence in it, but it was never put up. So are we going to remove the chain link
We
fence?
already removed it I thought we removed it at the last meeting. We modified this plan at the last meeting.
Okay, well, but this
Remember?
But that was a plan meeting. This is the first time it's came to board. Board is
No, I thought it was at board we did the fencing, didn't we?
The fencing was at the plan meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, this plan hasn't been approved by,
Because
you've
so
done
what-
2 plan meetings and, right?
Yeah, so what happened was at the beginning of June, the previous owner came to the plan commission to get it amended. And so the recommendations were provided, and then he never came to the board to get them approved. And it switched owner at that time.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's like a big kind of confused.
Kevin,
And at the end of every one of them, it says the zoning request approved is listed for the current owner only. So
Correct.
this is a whole new owner, so a whole new plan needs to be plunked into place.
no, I thought it was goes with the property.
I'm just telling you what it says in points
It goes with
B
the
and C
property
in the
owner.
minutes of
Yeah.
March 2019.
Okay, read it again. What did it say?
The last points, V, so VIII, the zoning request approved is listed for the current owner only. The zoning request in C.
Owner. Well, that's why I think it goes with whoever owns it. But
No.
No, it would just go with, because that plan was approved when Tom was owner. So we would be approving a whole entire new one for this
But
owner, right?
this is why I really don't like these things. But my understanding is they are for the property and it becomes the zoning. You don't zone a person, you zone a property. So I believe these, when they get passed, they become zoning. Therefore, it has to be the property. You can't zone a person.
I'm telling you what we did then and what we told Tom back, whatever it was, a month ago here, that it was for him, his ownership. And he asked the question outright. Now I know why, but he asked the question outright. Was it for him only or the new owners? And we all said for him only.
And that was a conversation last year too, during the plan commission and the village board meeting.
So which is, it's a little more work on our end to recreate it, but we could do a lot better job and a cleaner job by recreating instead of trying to plug these holes. And I think we could do that by going back to the minutes that Bill's got up here and essentially listing these points. The points that we want to retain. If we don't want to bring in the chain link fence, we don't talk about the chain link fence, which I would agree with.
Right.
But we have the point of the survey, we have the point of the setbacks of the paved area if there is a parking lot. We didn't talk about the setbacks yet. We have the stormwater management plan, which we didn't talk about, but was written in here. So if we want to carry these things forward, I think we can, but we need to be explicit with them today.
Yeah, I think we have,
Okay, Michael.
I'm just agreeing with Kevin. I think we have to really recreate what the plan is because I don't think one exists right now for them.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If we're going to recreate one, as far as I'm concerned, I'd get rid of the whole thing and go to zoning. I think these are absolutely unfair and difficult to enforce. We are making up, look at the list of rules, which could be totally different from coaches, because we already know, which is totally different from the daycare center, which is totally different from mid-construction, and they keep coming in with these plans. It's frustrating, and I think it's unfair. So, I don't know if we can, but I'd like to just throw the whole thing out and just go with zoning.
Which we can't do because we need a public hearing for it.
Well, no, I understand that,
Yeah,
but
so
I don't know if
we're here on this meeting date because of a time constraint. We're trying to be good members of the village, and we had a special meeting tonight so we can get them their liquor licenses and get this approved. So I think we have the ability to do that here today.
How about, I know, but I think what if we would make a motion to accept the development plan that was previous for this property plus these modifications? Then we don't have to go through a whole plan and develop it.
Yeah, I think.
Because stormwater, how am I going to vote on that? I got to assume that whoever did it the first time did it right, but I'd rather just.
I don't know if it did happen.
It didn't happen the first time.
Well, I have Sarah.
Can we make a motion, as was stated by Jay, and then also propose to bring this as a zoning, as a final, do the plan now so they can proceed, and then go through the proper steps to get rid of this and do a zoning public hearing.
Yeah, and right now it's not the time.
No, I understand that. But would that work for you if we just adopted the previous development plan for this property with the additions we talked about tonight? Are people comfortable with that?
So, and
Yes.
Bill and then
I have
Michael.
you want to speak, Bill?
He said he's comfortable with it. What's your comment?
So what, you have to restate, we're gonna approve this and then we're gonna go back and,
No, just, that's a whole different topic, right? That's something that'll be coming through plan later on. Right now, what we're trying to do is get this up and running so the neighbors are comfortable and these people can get their business going. And we need to do something for them.
and so what was the whole, so we're just gonna.
So the
approve this
hope
and-
is, my suggestion, and if I am not an expert on this, that we adopt the current plan development for this property with the additions and substitutions and corrections that we just talked about tonight. And that should cover everything that we didn't talk about that's already on the property.
And that's it, that's what you're proposing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought there was another.
Minus the chain link fence along the east side of the volleyball.
Right, oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying, we're gonna take the
Right.
chain link fence out. So now, I have a,
Michael?
so my question is, we've talked about this future parking lot. How does that get constructed inside of here so that it's not something they have to do instantly, that it becomes
It
a.
doesn't matter. It's just in there that we don't have a date on it. We did that for Midtown construction. We've done it for the daycare people. It's things that you plan ahead that you might want to do. So you get permission now so you don't have to come back and do it again.
So
Michael?
I'd like to ask Bill a question then. So then the implementation of the parking lot then becomes part of the specific implementation plan? Because that's external and those don't have time limits on them, or those have to be done instantly?
So if you mark it as a future site, so what you're getting at as implementation plan for a valid zone code, right?
Right, yeah, like if we.
So the items that don't have a designation or are intended to be effective immediately, those should be effective immediately because it is the zoning code. Now, the exception that we talked about tonight, the future fence, the future parking lot, that doesn't have a time designation on there or a specific time designation. So that will be recorded then in the specific implementation plan.
So when it says like the village engineer will approve the new and current parking lot stormwater management plan, because new is in there, that's assumed to be undetermined future time, like it isn't.
Correct.
It doesn't have to be done, just.
Correct.
I'm just kind of curious,
Yeah.
like, 'cause, a lot of you read things. Okay, so with that being, so then, and because you guys want to leave the parking lot option in here, well, this says the village engineer will approve the new and current parking lot photometric or stormwater management plan. Can I add in the lines to village ordinances, or so that it meets village ordinances?
Well, they have to meet village ordinance.
It doesn't say it has to though.
You assume things have to meet city ordinance unless you waiver the ordinance.
Okay,
that's just how it is. Otherwise we go here and we tell them what the sign has to be. We tell them what the lighting has to be. We'll tell them how they got to stripe their parking lot, there's building codes and ordinances all over.
Okay.
You make the assumption that they are going to follow ordinance.
If that's the assumption, then I'm fine with it. I just wasn't sure, because then here it says the LED volleyball light to meet village code. It was specified on there in the drawing, and it wasn't being specified over here about the stormwater or for the photometric plan. I just was wanting clarification.
I think that was for comfort level. I think it's implied that the lighting has to meet the code. But
Okay, I was just checking.
No, that's fine.
Are you ready for a motion?
Are you ready to put one out there?
I'd like to give it a try.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the current general development plan with the specific modifications discussed tonight. Do you want me to specify those?
Yes. Please.
Yes,
Okay.
we should.
Change in ownership to Montag's Pub and Grill. Allow for outdoor music events no limitation on the number per year, but the outdoor acoustic music events to go till 10 p.m. Allow for volleyball and other outdoor yard games from 11 a.m. to dusk, not to exceed 9:30 p.m.
No, I think 10 went.
10 p.m.
Yep.
Yes, sorry.
That's all right.
No indoor amplified sound after 2 a.m. Removal of the south volleyball court. Install vegetation. Finish the fencing on the south frontage fence and the west privacy fence in stages as discussed between the property owner and neighbors.
No, May 1st.
May 1st of
For May 1st
2021.
for the first part of the fence,
For the
privacy.
first part of the south part of the fence. And I think that's it.
Well, then change the wording to say Saturday through Sunday versus Saturday and Sunday.
I'm sorry, change the wording for the volleyball and yard games to Saturday through Sunday.
And then remove the cyclone fence on the east side of the volleyball.
Removing also the cyclone fence on the east side of the volleyball.
Or chain link, whatever you
Chain
do.
link fence. That's not on this recommendation.
Oh.
That's.
No, that was.
I think
only
she
the
meant
first.
Sunday.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, discussion, Michael.
I think she motioned incorrectly. Didn't she say Saturday through Sunday for volleyball when she meant Sunday through Saturday?
Sunday through Saturday.
I think she mixed it up.
Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry, I was reading it in the order that it was on.
Yeah, no.
Sunday through Saturday.
Thank
Seven
you.
days
Just
a week.
making sure that we have the right.
no, you're correct on
Did
that.
you get that right, Phil?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Yeah, no, I'm wondering, and we're at discussion now. Kevin,
Fully supportive. I just want to make sure that we repeat that motion so we've got it correct. And we really did her motion was for was it for the GDP?
For the GDP.
But she
Yeah.
included the that are in the SIP, such as the fencing.
Based on this
I
recommendation.
thought we could do them together.
Okay, and so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm supportive of that. I'm just saying that it's for the GDP and the SIP. And I don't know if Bill caught that, but we've combined points 1 and 2 or items 1 and 2, and I just want to make sure that we all know that what we're voting.
It's a good point. All right, what I'm going to ask, because I want to make sure we get this, Bill, why don't you repeat out the actual ones that you've recorded, and I want to just make sure I get them off my checklist.
Yeah, and I think that we did miss some here. Okay, so the first one I have here is the change the GDP in regards to ownership to Montague's Pub and Grill.
Yep.
The second one is to allow for outdoor acoustic music events.
Yep, and we're removing the restrictions.
Restrictions, correct.
Yep.
The third is to allow for volleyball and games from 11 a.m. to dusk, not to exceed 10 p.m.
Yep.
And that will be Sunday through Saturday.
Yep.
The restrictions on the indoor amplified sound will be allowed till 2 p.m. 2 a.m.
Yep.
And then in regards to the SIP or the specific implementation plan, removal of the south volleyball court, installation of the vegetative buffer between the south frontage fence and the west privacy fence, continuation of the north solid wood fence, which is 6 feet to the existing parking lot.
No, that would be east-west fence.
Yeah, it's the north solid going east-west. It's on the north.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Okay.
And then construction of the would be the north to south fence or south to north fence along the parking lot to the back of the home on Park Street by March 1st.
No, May 1st. Yep.
2021, and the remainder of the fence to be decided upon by the property owners. Addition of the composite deck acoustic event stage for up to 15 by 15. I think that was the one that was missed. And then the removal of the chain link fence along the east side of the volleyball court.
All right, Bill.
I just want clarification that we didn't totally remove the restriction for number 2 of the GEP. We removed the amount of outdoor acoustic events, but we didn't remove the 10 p.m. restriction, correct?
Oh, no, that's because that's in code.
It's ordinance.
That's an ordinance.
Okay. Okay. Then I'm good.
All right, that seems like we got everything there.
Anybody need that repeated?
I just want to make sure that her motion, your motion, you got a lot more in your motion, but I think Sarah's motion,
I think
it said we would take these recommendations except for these changes, or not? Because there was more in what Bill said than what Sarah's motion had in.
No, well, he listed the other things in here that we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
The outdoor stage.
I know, but were those addressed in Sarah's motion?
Not the outdoor stage,
No.
but everything else was.
the only one that it was missed was the outdoor stage, which shows up in the recommendation and in the site plan.
And then not on the recommendation, but was included was the removal of the cyclone fence, or chain link fence.
All right.
And just as a reminder, some of these other things in here that we didn't talk about today, photometric plan and stormwater plans still have to happen.
Yeah, well, my understanding, yes, because we have adopted all of that to put in. Michael, go ahead, but just I see your hand and I'll call on you. Go ahead.
Sorry. I think that the stormwater plan and the photometric plan were decided on in this previous thing. They only have to happen if the new parking lot is installed.
Correct.
That's why it says they will approve with the new and current parking lot stuff added with the new and current. Those were motions that were made in the previous one, only if the parking lot addition went on. And, right, okay. So
That is correct, but we were keeping the parking lot option in it, so those need to also be part of that.
Right, I was just
Okay.
clarifying with Kevin because I think he was thinking.
And
those
that's
did
the carryover.
Right, and he was thinking they had to happen regardless of whether or not.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I agree with you. It's not clear in the minutes from March 19th. So if we want that the case, if that is the case, we should clarify that here today and clarify it in the minutes that the photometric plan and the stormwater management plan are only required if they build the new parking lot. Because that is not clearly stated in the minutes from March in 2019.
I know, but I remember you guys discussing at that board meeting, and I remember hearing that on that.
So
Okay.
the next board comes in at 2 years
So-
from now?
Well, that's valid. We can clarify that, but I'm just saying, I don't know if that needs to be in the motion because it's in the motion because we're carrying over. I have Bill, then Michael.
Okay, so we gotta sit back for a second, all right? So if that's what we need to add to the motion, we do need a second, we do need a amended motion to add that to Sarah's motion. Because it wasn't part of Sarah's motion to add that
I
in
understand,
there.
but I believe it was implied because her first statement part was, we're accepting everything from the previous development plan. That was clearly, from my opinion, in that when I was at your March meeting and the discussion on the parking lot and the lighting and the stormwater. So to me, it is included in that it was already approved by a board before this. And we're incorporating that plan plus the changes.
So just for clarification, so the LED and all that was approved by a board or approved by plan?
I believe it was board and the March meeting. Okay, Michael.
Well, I mean, okay. Okay, so you're saying that the stormwater and the photometric are fine because they were in the old one, which I'm fine with as long as everybody understands that, because they were a part of the new parking lot decision. They were parts of that aspect. If that new parking lot went in, these were things that had to happen. And if that doesn't go in, then those don't have to happen. And I think that the old fence used to be also a contingency. If the parking lot went up, then it had to go all the way up to Park Street. But we've made amendments to that today.
Technically, the new parking lot wasn't even supposed to be discussed or anything, because that was a future item that they just wanted on the plan from the last one. So everything that goes with that was from the March 19th. That was not part of plan or anything else on that. So this is all kind of new. The only reason I brought it up is because it was referenced that the fence goes up when the parking lot gets built. And that's where I wanted to separate that. It's not contingent on the new parking lot, that it's contingent on the business. So that's why that parking lot even came up. But I believe we're covered by the March 19th meeting. All right, any other concerns? Bill, you don't agree?
I don't see a March 19th meeting.
That's,
I got a March 17th,
Okay.
March 23rd.
March 2019.
Oh, 2000.
Those are the minutes that are in
Okay,
the packet.
sorry. I was looking at.
Yep, okay, very good. All right, anybody else want to say anything or rehear the motion?
Do we need an amended motion for the stage? No?
Well, technically, yes, we do because they're included in.
All right, so we will have, do I have a motion to add the 15 by 15 outdoor stage to add to Sarah's amendment?
I'll make a motion to add a 15 by 15 stage.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion on that? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. So now back to the current motion, it now does include the language of the 15 by 15 stage. Are we comfortable with that? All right, let's do a roll call vote on this, please.
All right, trustee Brocius,
Yes.
trustee Kettleboulder,
Yes.
trustee Lucius,
Yes.
trustee Palmakowski,
Yes.
trustee Zander,
Yes.
trustee Francois,
Yes.
president Langfeld.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Number 3, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of a Class B intoxicating liquor and Class B fermented malt beverages license for 1821 Main Street.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Class B intoxicating liquor and Class B fermented malt beverage license for 1821 Main Street, Montague Pub and Grill.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the Class B intoxicating liquor and the Class B fermented malt beverage license for 1821 Main Street. Bill, do you want to add anything before we open up for regular discussion?
No, just that the notice was posted, and so we will apply the Montague's alcohol licenses to the remainder of the year here through July of next year, and then June of next year, and then in regards to the existing license for Hootie's, then they will receive that refund.
We're good. Okay, any other discussion from board members? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. So moved. All right. Number 4, discussion and possible action on workplace policies. A, hygiene and employee illness. Bill, can you kind of fill us in what kind of action you want us to take?
Yeah, so as the summary provides, these are steps: hygiene, cleaning, and protective measures that the village hall and employee staff have been taking a part of, in part or in whole. Order number 8 from Dane County actually requires that schools and businesses have such a written policy for their organization. And so this is taking that step. These documents are taken directly from what was provided by Dane County. with the exception of having a locked door in private offices. I don't believe that all of our offices have locks on them. And so it does incorporate also employee illness, an employee illness policy. Just remember that we do make a difference between essential and non-essential employees in the types or levels of symptoms and closeness to, and then also being off for childcare, et cetera. And so this policy does spell out kind of a step-by-step guide as to when to report, how to report, when to return to work, et cetera. There is an agreement here that should be signed by each employee and the employer. But I'll stop there. I'll take questions at this point because I can go on and on about this.
All right, are there any questions? Do you want to, Bill?
When does this expire?
So there's no set date. I would imagine that it would expire at the time that order number 8 subsides, or if there's any corresponding orders thereafter that would remove it.
We need to have that documented, in my opinion. 'Cause I hate to have something like this out there with no expiration, and our intent is good.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not documented and recorded, then that doesn't mean anything.
So I just want clarification for myself. So you want it to say something that this form will be used as long as order 8 is in place? Is that what you're asking for? You don't want us to put a date on here.
No, we do not need to put a date on here, but we do have to have an expiration of some sort, whether that is the completion of Executive Order 8, or if it is something to, because there's probably going to be a Executive Order 9, there's probably going to be a 10, right? So, does this go on and as long as there's an executive order, or when the executive order goes, or when the CDC says we're down to 7.2%, there should be some marker that says this no longer applies.
Can you relate it to the COVID-19 pandemic?
See,
I could, but I don't know how it corresponds with what Dane County said, right? So, hold on. So the right now the CDC says it no longer becomes a pandemic when we have 7.2% of people that are testing positive on a consistent basis, right? So when the CDC says this is no longer pandemic, this should, in my opinion, this should go away, as well as the other order that this responds to, but we already have a time frame for that one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to disagree a little bit. I think this all gets tied to what action the county does. If the county ends it, then we can end it. But if the CDC says pandemic's over, but these orders are still in place, I don't know how we can violate the Dane County order. I'm not comfortable with that and put our, I think we're governed right now by the Dane County Public Health. And I don't have a problem in here saying when the public health, Dane County Public Health removes restriction, then this restriction will be moved. I'm fine with that, but I think to do anything besides that, we're going to just potentially be in conflict. And I don't think we should put our employees in conflict. So I don't have a problem with having something, but I wouldn't tie it to a percentage of 7.2 or what the CDC says. If the county is saying you have to wear a mask, I'm telling our employees they have to wear a mask.
So let's define what that is. So okay, I understand what you're saying, and I don't have a problem with that. But let's define that. Right now, it's not defined in here at all, Jay. So I want to say something to the effect is when Dane County no longer has an executive order or.
There we go. That's fine.
Whatever the case is, I don't care what it is, but I want a end of time for this.
Okay. So I'm comfortable with saying when the Dane County lifts the restrictions, then our restrictions are lifted. Is that okay with you?
That's perfectly fine with me.
Everybody else okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have something? All right, let's go. You want to go to the next one then? Or do you want motions on each of these?
Yeah, if you could, because there might be differences in each policy, if we could get a motion on each policy, I'd appreciate it.
All right, do I have a motion for the hygiene and employee illness policy?
I'll make a motion that we approve the workplace policies for hygiene and employee illness.
With the deadline.
As just, as presented by Dane County Public Health and with an end date that coincides with the parent government body of Dane County Public Health.
All right, do I have a second? All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. So moved. All right, cleaning policy. Bill, you want to quick go over that?
Yeah, just a minute.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the facility cleaning policy, again, these are things that we have been doing. This puts it into writing, provides responsibilities of the village, provides some guidance as to CDC cleaning guidance and EPA approved disinfectants. And so that it really just spells out performance and when to clean and what to clean. Pretty standard stuff here.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the facility cleaning policy effective immediately and ending at time as so deemed by Dane County Public Health.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. So moved. All right, number C, protective measures policy.
So this policy discusses steps and procedures and policy for employees and the employer to maintain certain protective measures. So physical distancing, face masks, etc. It does incorporate the 4 Dane plan. You can see here it talks about going to virtual meetings as much as possible. And then specifics about cloth face coverings and or masking requirements and when to wear a mask, when you're allowed to not wear a mask, and then any exemptions under the face covering. Again, these are taken directly from Dane County. The cloth face covering and masking requirements mirror the language from Dane County's administrative policy manual.
Kevin?
Bill, my only question is there any problem with the village staff getting all village staff coming up to speed on this particular one?
Yeah, so after this, there is additional steps by order number 8 in that the implementation stage. So we will be sharing this with staff and making sure that they're able to meet these qualifications. One thing that we did discuss, I feel strongly that currently we do have a number of our public facilities, Village Hall, etc., open. and that I feel strongly that we need to be able to provide face masks for our visitors if we're going to require them to wear face masks. And so we're going to try to make that work as much as possible. However, if it doesn't work, we're starting to see issues with people not wearing face masks and separating within Village Hall. We'll make the call to go by appointment at that time, and you will be informed of that. So yeah, we, after this, I have received questions from staff. There are staff on both sides of the table here with face coverings, whether they want to wear them or don't want to wear them. And so we'll have that discussion with them.
Well, and the Dane County order requires they wear them indoors. So
Correct.
The question is more, I see more of driving vehicles and otherwise. I know we implemented these and had some issues, but a couple weeks ago.
Well, when driving alone, they don't have to wear a mask.
It's more about cleaning, I guess, in that case.
Yeah.
And confronting people after they're driving. Thank you. I just wanted to know if it was going to be a heavy lift. It sounds like a medium lift.
Yeah, for the most part, except for the face mask, we are separating. We are doing our best to clean after. We're doing our best to go to virtual meetings as much as possible. In fact, we're even, in the hallway at Village Hall, we're reminding ourselves, and if you've been there, we have a plexiglass separation there and only allowing the public in the front rooms there. So we'll go in. We're moving up to meet them instead of having them come to the back. And so it does change, patterns, but that's something that we're dealing with.
All right, do I have a motion? Bill?
I'll make a motion that we approve the protective measure policy. It already has a provision in there that this goes away based on public health. So I'm not going to make that addition.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Bill?
So just to be clear, so public work, that's who I thought of it right away when we were doing this with public health, the public health group, and when they're in the maintenance facility or they're in the wastewater treatment facility and they're by themselves, they're still required to wear a mask while they're in that building at all times, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless the only exception that is made here, I believe there's some language in regards to being in a closed off office.
Is there language in here? I didn't see it. Was there language in here? Because there is an executive order number 8 about if you have a health concern, or is that language in there as well?
That's in there, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it in here somewhere.
Okay, perfect.
Under page 26, if you look up on the screen, I'll make that bigger for you.
Kevin, did you want to raise your hand?
No, I didn't have anything.
Michael?
I have something after this.
Oh, okay. All right, so no other discussion. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. So moved. All right, now we're going to future agenda items. Okay, I have Michael and Sarah.
This isn't a future agenda item. This is what we just recently adopted, a motion to reconsider. This is just a clarification on what we did before under 1 and 2. Can I ask that now? I have a question.
Okay, you want to do a motion to reconsider items 1 and 2?
Yes, I do.
All right, he made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a second. All right, go ahead with discussion.
All right, my question on this is just procedural in what we approved, because if we approved the the plans being amendments to what's in here, underneath B3, it says outdoor amplified sound not approved. What does that mean in these old minutes? Meaning, with our approval, did we just, I'm curious, it says not approved.
Okay, we eliminated that from, that was one of the adjustments we made.
It was.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was in there that we did the amplification to 2 AM unless,
No,
This is
acoustic.
outdoor amplified sound.
Outdoor amplification is still that, it's not approved unless
Right.
they go through the permit process.
Right. right, okay, I'm
But-
You
sorry.
have to submit an application.
Yeah, they have to follow the process.
Okay, well, I'm just curious what it means here in the minute, though. It just says,
In the
like,
minutes?
well, I'm meaning the minutes from the August of the 2019. There's a line item on here that says outdoor amplified
Okay,
sound.
time out. The minutes we're not talking about. What your motion was to reconsider 1 and 2. So that's what we need to stay focused. None of us remember the minutes from wherever you're pulling that out, so.
No, this was in the packet tonight. This was what we made an amendment to on 1 and 2 is what, with regard to Montagues is what I'm speaking.
How did we get minutes out already?
No, it's not, they're the minutes from the meeting in March.
March 2019.
Okay,
Because up there under number 3, it says outdoor amplified sound not approved. What does that line mean and what does that mean for this property? Does that mean that they are not allowed to have outdoor amplified sound at this location? I'm just asking you for a clarification on that. Because we amended these development plans, right? And if that's in there, then
So,
that's what I'm curious about.
yeah, so if you go back and listen to the recordings, which I have quite a few times, it was originally proposed in the previous owner's site plan and GDP that there be the outdoor stage.
Right.
And with that, outdoor amplified music to go with this. And so I believe at that time, the plan commission and the village board approved the other requests except for that request to have that. And that's why that stage is not currently built.
Because they did not approve outdoor amplified sound at the location.
Correct.
Which means that we just approved that for them also, right?
They approved the stage.
Right, we approved the
and
stage,
acoustic music.
right, but what I'm asking you is, could they have outdoor amplified sound there with what we just did?
Not according to this.
Right, that's one of my motions to reconsider, because do we want to disallow them to get a permit to have outdoor amplified sound there? Because it's not following ordinance.
I guess that's the question. Does this ordinance trump the permit?
no, the plan here, he's correct. If that is in the plan and that was voted, and we adopted what was already set, that would be still one of the requirements of this plan development. So if we want to open that up, we will have to modify a motion to remove that from the plan. Because the plans can be more restrictive than what the ordinance, because again, these plans are basically inventing specialized zoning for a piece of property. So that is correct. Kim, you wanted to comment, and then Mike.
I was just gonna say that I remembered what Bill said, that was not initially approved because I was at those meetings, and of course, this being my issue sticks out. And it was, Tom got a lot of things approved, but at that particular time, you guys were gonna revisit it in a year when he came back up for review.
Okay,
So that's why that's there.
thank you. Michael?
So that's something I think you might want to consider review. I also have a question, because Kevin, you were asking about the stormwater management plan. Underneath C there in the general development plan, it does say that a stormwater management plan is in place and reviewed by village staff. That, I think, is a separate condition than the ones that say the stormwater management plan has to be in place with the new parking lot. There's a separate one that says that they have to do one, even if they don't put in the new parking lot, which they would be held to right now. Do we want to hold them to the stormwater management plan, even if they're not putting in the new parking lot? Is that correct, reading that, if we amended these? Because that was also, it's number 7 on that line.
Yeah, so you're talking about this here.
Yeah. So can I,
What,
it's C7 and B7, it's because it was approved by plan and then approved by board. It says a stormwater management plan is in place and reviewed by village staff.
Yeah, so if you look up on the board, one is in the general development plan. A stormwater management plan is in place and reviewed by village staff. And then the second is under the SIP, the village engineer will approve the new and current parking lot stormwater management plan.
Meaning I think one of those was supposed to be done and then the other one would be done if the new parking lot one. Which I don't know if we want to keep that. I don't think that we want to keep those two items in this plan that we just adopted. So how do I motion for this?
well, you would motion to amend the original amendment, just like we did with 15 by 15 one.
All right. I motion to amend the items that we discussed concerning the general implementation plan and specific implementation plan for 1821 Main Street. The amendment being we removed the stormwater maintenance plan being in place and reviewed by village staff. And that we remove the limitation on outdoor amplified sound at that location.
All right, okay, we have a second discussion. Bill?
I don't think that was the right way to do that.
Okay.
I don't, I mean, it's fine, I mean, because it's in place right now, but I think the way to done that is just create a whole new, because we've already voted and we've already passed.
But that's exactly what a reconsider motion is, that people change their mind, they want to change their vote. The only way to do that is to bring up the amendment again.
Right, but at that point, right, so if we do this, then we have to re-vote on the.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
Yeah.
yes, absolutely on that. Kevin?
There was a first and a second on the motion to reconsider. We didn't vote on full board. Does the board, we have to vote on whether or not we want to reconsider.
Oh,
correct.
All right, I'm sorry.
We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Oh, I thought I did do that. All right, so I have a motion and a second to reconsider. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. So moved. Okay, now we're on to the second motion to basically eliminate number 3 and number 7 of the previous plan development for 1821. And I have a second on that. We're at discussion. Kevin?
Yeah, I don't mind removing the amplified sound. I think we have a permit process in place, and 1 or 2 or 3 times a year that's going to happen, so be it. I'm a little concerned about the stormwater management. I don't know, the last plan didn't work out on the sand that washed to the west, to the neighbor's yard, and we didn't monitor it. We need to have some way that we check that, whether it's we call it a stormwater management plan or we just say that we go and look after a rain. I mean, we need to have some way in order to manage that after the new vegetation goes in along the boundary there. So I don't know if we need a plan to hire engineers, all that stuff, but I do think we need to be able to go in there and check it and have some teeth behind checking that. Because there was a lot of sand in the neighbor's yard.
And this is the neighbor here. Kim?
Would it be enough that if it still remains a problem that I come to you, would that resolve it?
It could be,
You know, that they've already talked to me about what they intend to do, and so would it be helpful if you just said, you know, if it doesn't stop, obviously I'll come back and say it's still happening. Is that helpful, or, I mean,
I honestly believe what Kevin is asking, there's most likely an ordinance that we can find that would cover that if it continues to be a problem.
Right, that's what I'm saying, I mean, if that makes sense.
I just don't feel comfortable, since we didn't enforce the previous owner to do this, I don't think it's fair to do the new ones on something that should have been done a while back. Again, one of the difficulties with these. All right, any other discussion? So what we have here, just so everybody's clear, we're reconsidering the motion that Sarah made with all the list of everything, and we're adding the items of removing number 7, the storm management plan, and the restriction on outdoor.
So first you're voting on just that. Then we're re-voting on the original
Correct,
motion.
correct,
So 2 votes.
correct. All right, everybody understand, just like we did with the 15. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, now we're going back to the actual original amendment with those word changes in it. So is there any discussion on that? All right, all in favor, well, I guess we gotta do a roll call vote.
Who first and second that one?
Which one? The motion?
Well, the one before, who did that? Michael
I did
made
the
it,
motion.
and I think Judy seconded it.
For the reconsideration, yes.
No, and then you made the motion to,
So there was a motion to reconsider by Michael Pomykowski and a second by Bill Brochus, all in favor. Now, then there was a motion by Michael Pomykowski to amend the GDP and SIP to remove the stormwater management plan listed under the GDP and also remove the language in regards to the outdoor amplified sound not being approved. And there was all motion on that, so it was all approved there.
Okay, motion was second by Judy.
Yep.
both of
And
them.
then there was a vote, all approved.
Yep,
So now you have to go back and vote on the original motion. And I don't have a motion
okay,
on that one.
all right. You wanna make them?
I'm scared of it. Do I have to say everything?
No, you don't have to say anything. Okay, I'll make a motion to add the removal of number 7 and number 3 to the motion of the passing of the general development plan and specific implementation plan for 1821.
I'll second it.
1821 Main Street. All right, so Judy motion.
You motion.
Oh, okay, yeah, you second. Wow, I'm having a hard time. Any discussion on this? All right, roll call vote.
Okay, trustee Francois,
Yes.
trustee Zander,
Yes.
trustee Pomykowski,
Yes.
trustee Lucius,
Yes.
trustee Kettlebolder,
Yes.
trustee Brochus,
Yes.
President Langfeld.
Yes. Okay. Are there any other future agenda items? Sarah?
Dog leash ordinance follow-up.
Dog leash. Follow-up. And will that be ready for 13 days from now, or do we put it on the August one?
We're meeting on Monday, this coming Monday. 13 days we would have something.
Because that's our
to
next meeting, the
discuss.
27th. So I'm wondering, is it 27 or do you want to go to the August one?
Well, let me tell, I'd like to bring it up, but leave it as discussion possible action,
Okay,
because we may not have an ordinance suggestion ready.
okay.
So just technically, you don't necessarily need to say discussion and action as long as you're specific. As long as you're specific with what's on the item, that's all you got to do.
Yep. All right, any others?
Just in relation to Montag's Pub and Grill and the potential waiver from the GDP SIP for the Spike Red.
Oh, yeah.
So
Son of a gun.
we'll put that on the July 27th meeting.
Yep. Okay, yeah, I don't want to complicate it any more than what we've done tonight. So, so that's a good. So there's no other agenda items. Just remember, if you want to do a report and you know prior to the time that you get the packet, please send Bill an email and we'll put you under trustee, your name and what you
Bill
want.
Chang, don't send me an email.
No, yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna send it to you.
All right, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.